Welcome to the channel. And what you're going to talk about today is about spot trading calculators. So, as you can see from the screen, I have four sets of calculators displayed. We have a two-way EV calculator, three-way EV calculator, and we have three-way true odds finder calculator. We have a two-way true odds finder calculator. So what these calculators does is to help you as a spot beta or a spot punter to maximize profit while doing spot trading. So we will cover the last two calculators just in summary on what they do. Uh, the purpose of this video is just to demonstrate how you can come up with your own calculators like this and use them right from home just before you do or you place a bet online. Okay, so I did my own personal research on something called expected value betting. Okay, so with expected value, um, is expected value is amount that you expect or a value of a bet that you expect to have on a certain bet. Let's say, for example, you want to place a bet uh, for a tennis match. That is a match between two opponents. Okay, and from the sport book, the, you get the odds. Let's say you key in, I want to place a bet on 100 shillings, and the odds that are displayed in the sport book are 1.80 for home opponent to win, and we have the away opponent to win. I've been given an odd of 4.00, and the odd that I wish to place a bet is 4.00. 4.00. I get something we call expected value. And this value, it's in price, it's amount that I expect to win in long run if I continue placing this kind of bet over and over again. So the calculator does in real time get you the implied win probability percentage. So you can see for home opponent I've been given a 55.56%, and we have for away opponent given 25% to win. And down there we have a card that's just displaying the order that would wish to back. We don't worry about why it's saying for zero. We will add trailing zero later on. And then we have your total wager amount, which is the amount that you would wish to place a bet on this odd. And now the expected value, the amount that we we will win in long run for this kind of bet. So just by look of this, we can know that this bet has a value. So placing a bet on this odd, on this amount that I will win in long run. So there is a value in this bet, and this is two-way. So the functionality that I'm just going to show you is on the form submissions. You can see we didn't um, submit any button from the form to get that information displayed for us. So we're going to make use of Ajax to post the form values to the server, that is to the Django server, and then get that information displayed in real time as we add. As you can see, if I try to alter odds right here, like 6.90, and then I change this to 6.90, I get a value of 29.95 shillings. If I choose any odd that is not equal to odd 1 or odd 2, like for example 5.89, I get an error message displayed there. Okay, a response. Please check the odd you want to bet again for any type of error. Odd you want to bet must either be equal to odd 1 or odd 2. So I did my own personal research on what EV is, and I came across this website, OddsJam, and they happen to be selling this tool. So if we can just go there and click positive EV and we scroll down, we need to start a free trial. We need to subscribe, to have this tool available to us. But by this video, you just learn how you can develop your own tool like this and make use of it and maximize your profit and find bets that have value before you place them. Okay, so we're going to work on three-way EV calculator to have the same functionality as you saw from the two-way. And another thing that you need to note is that you didn't see any page reload as you were adding those odds. So if I can just add again, so 1.80, 4.00, 4.00, I get the result displayed without the page reload. Okay, and I didn't click and submit button for that information to be sent to the server and get the response back. So from the three-way EV calculator, if you can just click there, you can see this form as a submit button. And until I add all the values and click the submit button, is that when I get the result. So if I can just go ahead and key in, let's say I want to wage 100 shillings. The first odd, I'm just guessing, is 1.80. Second odd is 4.89, and fifth odd is 5.97. And the odd that I would wish to place a bet is 4.89. You can see no information that is displayed in real time, but when I click submit, I'll get that information displayed there. So we just want to make work easier for the users of our application, or for this calculator. In this calculator, we are going to get rid of the button, and then now we're going to write some few JavaScript code to submit that information to the server and as well get response. So let me just show you what's behind the scene, behind the calculator. So what I did is I created functions, Python functions. So as you can see, this is Django framework actually that I'm using. Django framework is a Python framework for web development. So if you wish to develop web application using Python, you want to go for Django. Django is easy to use. Uh, you won't have issues using it. Okay, so the function that is behind the two-way EV calculator is this. This is the Python function. So this is the one that is doing the magic for us behind the scene. And then if I can go to views.py for the guys whom are experienced in Django, we have the two-way EV view there. And once I get the posts data from the front end, from the user, I'm feeding that information or that data to the func two-way, and this is the two-way EV calculator from the two-way EV right here. You can see the name of the function is func two-way. Okay, so in the views, we are accepts three arguments, and that is wager amount, odd one, odd two, and the odd that we wish to bet or back. And then now we can return that data back to the front end using a JSON response. Then the view for the three-way EV calculator is this. So this is the one that you're going to interact with. So let me just show you the template for the three-way EV. This is three-way EV, three-way EV. This is the template that is displaying the three-way EV calculator in the HTML side or in the front end side. So it's simple. That's what we have. As you can see, we have the wager amount, odd one, odd two field. We have odd three, the order to wish to bet, and submit button. So we are going to make use of Ajax from jQuery to submit the form to the server and as well get the response and display that information in the front end side. Okay, so before you write the JavaScript code, you need to import or bring in jQuery. So I did brought in jQuery through the base HTML template here. As you can see, is the link to Google APIs, Ajax, something there. Okay, so this is the library that you need to run Ajax in your code. And then we can go back to the three-way EV. So that's just below the block content. That's where we're going to write our JavaScript. So I just add the JavaScript script there. Okay, and they should be type text slash JavaScript. And now to load the entire document or the entire document or page that we have the JavaScript, what we need to do is just write $sign there, pass in document, then ready, we need it to pass in function there. And we can do something like console.log and then say something like success, just to see we have a JavaScript running in the current page. So this is the page, the three-way EV page. If I can reload the entire page and open developer tools, just by right clicking on the page and then selecting inspect, it should bring us to the developer page, developer tab, and then we go to console. We can see success there, so we can see JavaScript is running, so we are able to run JavaScript in the current page. Okay, so we can proceed now. So few things that we need to note just before we proceed. I just need to comment the submit button, so we won't be needing the submit button anymore. Just need to add a comment there, just like that. And for us to be able to reference the uh, input elements for our form, we need to uniquely identify each input field within our form, and that is through IDs. So you need an ID for each input field for this to work, because you're going to use events, that is Ajax events, to trigger an event when somebody or when a user interacts with the input field to submit that data to the server. So I have already added IDs for my input field. So all I need to add now is an ID for my form, and that should be my form 3 EV. So I'm just going to call that name. You can call it whatever name that you like from your end. Okay, and you can see I have an ID for barcode there, ID or 3 or 2 ID there. So I just need to create variables there. Just need to create a variable here. Let's wager. We can start with the first one. It's amount equal to document dot get element by ID. Here we can pass in wager amount. Create the next variable. That should be odd one now. Document dot get element by ID. Odd one. And just to save time, we can just do copy paste and then we change the names for our variables. So the next should be odd2, odd2, for odd3 we need odd3, And the last one should be now the barcode, and here we change as well to barcode. So we have all our variables uh, for our input uh, elements from our form. So the event that you're going to trigger is the key up event, and we don't want the key up event to be triggered when interacting with other elements within the HTML document. Solution to that is to exclude the other elements from being triggered when the key up event is called. So, and the way we do that is write if, and just before we exclude those elements that we don't want them to be triggered by the key up event, we need first to trigger the key up event, and then we do the exclusion of other elements. The way we do that is document dot add event listener, and then right here we can type in key up, so that event that we are triggering, and then we need a function to run once the event is triggered. Okay, that's my colon there. Just reduce this just like that. Okay, and then right here we can pass in e, and then e dot prevent default. So what the e dot prevent default does is to prevent the normal refresh behavior of our form. And now to proceed, we can now exclude other elements by bubbling. We just need to write if e dot target is not equal to wage amount n. And now to save time, all the other variables, we just need to copy and paste this line, and then we go ahead changing the names of our variables. So here we change to odd one, we paste again, and then we change the odd variable should be now odd 2. We add another one and we change the odd. Now this should be odd 3. You can shrink our view right there, and then we need to add next. The last one should be now the back odd variable there, barcode, this one, and then we can run those. So we need to return nothing. Okay, so now our Ajax request should Ajax block here. So to add another comment here is exclude other document elements from being triggered by key up event. Okay, so okay, we can just go ahead and comment the console.log block that right there. So now our Ajax block now to submit the form data to the server. So just before we write the Ajax code, we can do something like console.log, and then we write successful. So we need to test if the key up event will be triggered when interacting with the input field. So to do that, we can just go back to Chrome and we reload the page, and then we start typing in the input field from our form. So the wager amount should be 100 and the first odd should be 1.80. You can key in any odd 3.78, and then here we have 5.89. And as you can see, we have successful, they are logged. So we can see that it's working. So the key up event is being triggered when interacting with our form input field. Okay. To get rid of this, we just need to go back to our views, and then from the three-way EV, instead of rendering this information using the normal way in Django, we need to comment that and return a JSON response. And from here we can pass in our context, which is our return dictionary context. And then now we can go back to HTML and then do a page reload. And just by reloading that page, we can see now the response being printed on our front end there. Okay. So now it's returning JSON response. The data is in form of JSON. So we'll decrypt this using Ajax. So we can just go back to our three-way EV template and continue writing our JavaScript. So we can comment this since it's working now and begin our JavaScript. So for the Ajax side, we just need to type $.ajax, then two brackets and curly braces there. And you can add semicolon there. So the first thing we need to type is type, the type of request, and that should be post. The next should be the URL that you are triggering. And here we need to type in URL and then single quotes, and the URL that will be triggering for the GET and as well for the post request is this, the three-way EV. If you can go back to our views, you can see three-way, the name of our view is three-way, and for URL it's the same. So this is the URL, three-way EV. So this is the URL that we are triggering for that post request from the three-way EV template or form. So we need to copy the three-way EV and go back to our code and paste that there. The next should be data, and data should be now data from our form. The way we grab our form, as you can remember, we added an ID for our form, and that is my form 3EV. I can copy, so I can copy the name of the ID and come back here and then $, single quotes, and then hash the name, the ID of our form dot serialize, comma there. The next should be data type, and this is JSON. Next should be on success. We need a response. So response now is the data from the server, from now our URL. Once we do the post, we need a response from the server, and we run a function We pass in an argument of data, and here we can do something like console.log. We pass in data there. So we need to see the response from the server, and we can, and this data, the data argument that you have added here, this is data from our server. So our three-way EV view does return response once we do the post. So once we get the data from the form, we pass that data to the three-way function that does the mathematics behind the scene for us. And then we create a dictionary with the return values, okay, from our function. And then we do a final return that is using the JSON response, and we pass in the context dictionary there. So this data, the data that you see in this context, is the one that we get as a reply in this function. So we expect to see the response. So we can go back there and we do a page reload. If I can just go back, let me just begin in a new, and then just go directly to the three-way EV, and I key in the amount that I wish to place a bet. Odd one, 1.80, and third odd, the second odd should be 3.89, and for the third odd I can go with 5.87, and the odd that I would wish to bet 3.89. Okay, forget about the server side errors, the internal server side errors. We can deal with that later, but we can see response from our server, and that is the calculation. So if I can expand there, we can see you're getting the odd that you wish to back, which is now the 3.89. We have values for the odds that you have added. We have probability, the implied win probabilities for those odds, the response, the user response key, and we have the amount that we wish to place a bet. And last but not least, we have the EV now, the most important return there. So we can do testify, or we can attest that we are getting response, a positive feedback from our server. And now what it remains is to print this information back to the front end in real time. The way we do that, we can just come here and append something like error, just to catch any errors. And here we're going to run a function as well that accepts an argument of error. This is a function. And we can do something like console.log error. Okay. So now we can see that our post request is working as expected. So if I can just try to test by adding the amount that I wish to place a bet on, that is 1.89, 1.88, 3.44, and something like 6.77. And the amount that I wish to, and the odd that I wish to bet is 6.77. I get that information back without a page reload, okay? And that's okay. That's what we want. So we can go back, and now we need a way to present this information back to the user in the front end. So let me just get out of this developer tools. So we want this information, this information displayed here. So we get the implied probability results displayed here, and the odds that we wish to place a bet on, the raw odds displayed here, and the expected value as well displayed here. So that's what we're going to do next. To achieve that, we need to have IDs for our HTML tags. So the first tag, we can just get rid of the Django code. So for the first odd, we can add an ID of odd 1, next ID of odd 2, and the third odd 3. Okay, just like that. And next we can get rid of the Django side code, and then we can add IDs for the probability. So prob, I'll call it prob1. Next I'll call it ID of prob2, and the third ID of prob3. Lastly, now where we have the odd that we wish to back now. So ID, I can call it back odd underscore for wage amount, ID of wage amount underscore, and we have expected value as well, ID and call it EV with underscore, and now the user response, ID user res underscore. So those are the IDs for our HTML site. So we can get rid of Django code. You can have something like 0.00. You can just leave that like that. So that looks good to me. Okay, so we have barcode there, we have IDs. Basically we need to grab the IDs of the destination of our response data, and now we can go back and write some more JavaScript. So we need to uh, to define variables for those IDs. So the first one should be for the odds, probability, and as well for the other remaining. So the first one should be let odd 1 equal to document dot get element by ID, and then from here we can pass in odd 1. And to save time as usual, we can copy and paste this, and then we go change in the IDs. So 2 2, this should be odd 3. This is what should reflect odd 3. For probability, the same applies. Should be prob 1, prob 1. And then you can paste this. You can copy that and paste, and then we change. This should be 2. This should be 3. And then we can do for wage amount. We can just copy and paste. There should be ev. Next should be back odd backward. And the last one, it should be now the user response. User response ID. User res. Just like that. So now we can use these IDs to send data from our server to HTML. So we need to come back now to our success function, and then we can comment that and do something like the first one should be odd1 dot inner HTML, and this should be now data dot the name, the key of our dictionary. Back to our view, you can see odd1 is referenced by odd1, so that's what we need to reference by here. So it should be odd1. Next should be odd2, and to save time we can copy and paste this and then change the names. So that should be 2, that should be 2, it should be for 3. Next should be now for probability, the same applies. Prob1. For probability we need just go back and see, should be prob A, so we need to grab the name of probability there, the key, not the name, and then we can copy and paste. That should be 2, it should be prob B, this should be 3, and this should be C. Next we have the other remaining. Now we have the order we wish to back, so we can just go back there and grab, we can start with wager amount. This is going to be a little different, so wager amount dot inner HTML is equals to data dot, go back to our view. For wager amount is just wager amount, we can copy that. Same applies to EV. EV. It's just EV, as you can see there. Then we have barcode dot inner HTML data dot back or dot underscore plus is user response. So user res dot inner HTML data dot user response. So this is full user response. We don't want to make any mistakes. So user response, just like that. The name of the key. And then now to add a little bit of HTML there, we can just go and copy the way it appears right here, the default values. So we can copy this inner text. That is for the odd that we wish to back. So that is string concatenation, just like that. The next should be for the amount we wish to wage. This one, the same string concatenation, passing that information there. Next is for EV. Positive EV or expected value. String concatenation, and then you paste that. And just by that it's done. So we can just go and test to see if we get that information displayed in real time in the front end. I just need to reload the page, and then I can start typing. So I'd wish to wage 100 shillings. The odd market, that is 1.87 for home win. For draw, 4.87, and away, 6.87. The odd that I'd wish to back, it should be 1.87. And as you can see, as I type the last input value, I don't get a page reload, but I get that information displayed in real time right here. So I can see the implied win probability of each odd displayed from the bookmaker's website. And then I can get the expected value displayed right here. And we have a little bit of glitch there, so I can just go and modify, and I know where our problem is. So it should remove this and remain with the dollar sign only. So if I reload, we can test odds from a live bookmaker's website, like it's a local sport book. We can test their odds. So we can test for Liverpool versus Villarreal for home. That is 4.60. So for 660, and then we have for 20. So I wish to place a bet on 100 shillings. Home win is 460. Draw, that is 4.20 if I'm not wrong. And then for away win, 1.78. 1.78. I wish to place a bet on Liverpool with the odd of 1.78. And as you can see, I get a negative EV of 1.73 shillings. And this is the amount that I will lose if I place this bet in long run over and over and over. That's what it means. But the essence of the calculator, we can see that now we get accurate information, and we can use this to our advantage if we are placing bets. So with this kind of a calculator, it's helpful to help you maximize profit. It will help you find or hunt for value betting and make profit. Okay, so I hope you guys learned something about Ajax, about form submission. Basically what we have done here can be replicated to any other kind of form submission from HTML to a Django server. So you can take advantage of Ajax to avoid page reload or unnecessary page reloads and get information displayed back to you in real time. So we have the implied win probability percentage there. For home win, we have implied win probability percentage for draw odd and as well away odd right there. So guys, that's how simple it is. So I hope you learned something today, and let me just show you from the old jam the same functionalities. Let's say let's go for vig calculator and try to key in this one. You can see it's a form and there is no submit button. So just type in the first word. This is uh, American odds, and then as we start typing the second input, we get the calculation display there. So the vig. Yeah. So that's what we have done in our calculator right here to avoid the unnecessary clicking of buttons and data coming back from the server to the front end. Okay guys, so that's how easy it is to do this. So if you want to see the Python function behind the calculation of three-way EV, this is the function. It's simple function, and if you want just to see it, I will push the entire code to my GitHub repository and share the link to the repository in the video description so that you can track, and as well you can do copy or include it in your project, or if you want to learn you can just go and see how the function works. So it's simple function, simple mathematics, and by that we can make money by this tool without having to commit ourselves to any monthly payments for online tools. So we can build our own tools and use them while uh, spot trading. So lastly, as I said from the beginning of the video, I say that I will be showing you how the other two calculators work, and that is for the three-way true odds finder calculator and the two-way true odds finder calculator. So we can start with the two-way. So what the two-way true odds finder calculator is that it helps you get the true odds for a certain market. So true odds without the bookmaker's edge or juice or VIC. True odds must always add up to 100% probability or 1. So if I can just key in the default values like 1.54, these odds I just got them from the bookmaker's website. So 2.47, it will do the math for us there in real time, and then we can see the implied win probability percentage for those two odds, and we can see the true odds without the juice, without the vig, without the bookmaker's edge. And then the advantage of this calculator is that once you know the true odds, you can go shop for bigger odds from sport books whom have mispriced their odds. So if there is a sport book somewhere who is offering a bigger odd than the true odd, then you can go and place bet on them. And the basis of this is you need to use a sharp bookmaker as the base sport book. Like for example, Pinnacle. Get the true odds using this calculator, and then you go to your local sport books, and then you compare the true odd against the odd that is displayed by the local bookmaker from their website. You can place bet on them, and then you can make money from value betting. So I hope guys this is helpful. The same way it applies for the three-way. You just key in the odds and you get the true odds displayed. So 2.76, 3.10, and 2.97, and we get the true odds there from our side. So I hope, guys, this is helpful for you to learn something about Django, about web development, and as well about Python functions. And you can go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this uh, that I will be posting about creating tools for spot trading to maximize profit. That's what we need. We need tools to make money. From following my YouTube channel, you get to learn how you can develop your own tools for spot trading or bots for to make profits. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. Bye bye.